So, hi. So this is Series 1, Episode 2. Now this is the 1st of October 1998, guys. 1998. Now here's the thing. The show, when it went out properly, so this series went out in September of 98. I kind of think the real series didn't go out, it went out like May of 1999. So there's a big old gap. I was signing on at the time. I was a stoner at the time. I'd done a little bit of coke, but not a lot. But I had a taste for it. But I was a stoner. And I thought I was smoking weed and no one was knowing. But I was later told that everyone could smell it. My dressing room and... is it Barrymore's? Someone else's dressing rooms both stank of weed all the time. All the time. Terrible. I don't drink or take drugs or anything anymore. I'm clean and sober. I had 13 years, then I had a break, and now I'm nearly 2 years. So almost 15 years totally clean and sober. But that's where it was at the time. But this first week seems to be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I'm trying to remember why. I'm wondering if something had happened on the Tuesday. Something big had happened. I don't know. Anyway, the premise of the 11 o'clock show was it was all written and filmed on the day. Written and filmed on the day. Not all of it was. There was some stuff that we had up our sleeves. And I was brought in to make these little VTs, these Vox Pops on the street where you go up and ask people silly questions. But I was kind of I was kind of put into the studio and they started using me more and more and more. And I'm surprised, having watched the first episode yesterday. We're going to do this every Sunday night at 8 o'clock. But we did one yesterday. Having watched the first episode yesterday, I'm surprised how much I was in it. I was in it a lot more. And I thought, was Steve Coogan on it? No. John says, the show was a bit Chris Morris, wasn't it? Yeah, it was that sort of thing. It was that. So written, performed, filmed on the day. The way it would work... I'll talk about my Vox Pop. Let's get in, because I'm talking too much. Let's get the volume up a little bit. How's that volume, guys? Is that all right? Gary Glitter. More Chiba theme tune. Good volume. So the main hosts are Brendan and Fred. Thursday, 1st of October. Me sat on the edge. So already I'm sat on the edge, right? I'm supposed to be the third wheel. And I wish, looking back retrospectively, they'd kept me as the third wheel. I got the... Ali G to one side. Ali G to one side. I think in the first episode I got the biggest laughs. Doing the stuff on the street. The stuff in the studio, none of the stuff in the studio I wrote. I might change a line here and there, but hardly ever, because I was terrified. None of the studio stuff was written by me. It was all written by these amazing team of writers, which grew and grew. We had people faxing in jokes when the series really kicked off proper. But this was a 2-week pilot run of 6 episodes. And I didn't write any of the stuff in the studio. I can see all of your questions in the Twitch chat, twitch.tv/Iain Lee. I will get to them at some point. I promise. This is going to be honest, guys. It's going to be honest and open. The stuff out on the street, I had a hand in writing. And obviously a lot of it was improvised. But I would get into the studio. I would get into the offices, which surprisingly were in the building next door to Talk Sport. I don't know if they were for this series. This series we might have still been using the Talkback offices. I think we were still using the Talkback offices. But so I would get in about 8 o'clock, and me, James Bobin, who was the director, and Leo Martin, and me and James, and maybe someone else, Simon Wilson at a later date, who went on to be the head of comedy at BBC. We would just go through the papers and find a story that we could do Vox Pops on, and then James would write questions. I would chip in. As I got more confident, I would write more and more. But it was primarily James. And it was... But there was a lot of improvisation. But the real magic in those Vox Pops was we would go out and we'd film. You had like an hour and a half to film it. 2 hours tops. Then I had to get back to the studio to rehearse the show. Everyone else was rehearsing the show in the studio. And I had to get back. So that James would then go off to an edit. And this was why it was so clever. He would then edit the 2 hours into 3 minutes of very funny video. No. Angela says those two hosts, the Scot and the Australian, are really not very likeable at all, are they? Fred Macaulay's wonderful. I love Fred Macaulay. And Brendan Burns, I've talked about Brendan. I like Brendan a lot now. At the time, I found him very, very intimidating. I still find him intimidating. I still find him scary. But no. I mean, this is 1998. Here we go. You watch. When they introduce me, I'll probably do a thumbs up or pull my face down to my chin or do something. I'm going to do something dumb because I just don't know what to do with my body. I have no idea what to do with my body or my face.
It's Thursday the 1st of October. It's Channel 4. This is the 11 o'clock show and I'm Fred Macaulay.
No, I'm Brendan Burns.
Hello, I'm TV's Iain Lee.
It was awkward, wasn't it? TV's Iain Lee. I used to get called that a lot. And that was the first time it was ever said. First time it was ever said. Same suit. Harry Thompson, who produced it, had this grey suit. And he got really upset when I changed suits in the next series. He had this idea, and I think he was probably right. He wanted me to wear that suit for my entire career and never clean it. And he said, I just had this vision of you 20 years from now wearing the same suit and it's filthy and it's tatty. I'd have loved that. But TV, Justin says, I remember thinking it was cool you were such a nerd. Thanks, man. TV's Iain Lee. That's the first time it was said. And then I still sometimes get called TV's Iain Lee, despite not really having been on TV. I got rid of the suit. Man? I chucked the suit, and that was stupid. But listen, there's just silence. There's just silence as I introduced myself. No one knew who we were. People knew who Fred was. People knew who Fred was.
It's Thursday the 1st of October. It's Channel 4. This is the 11 o'clock show and I'm Fred Macaulay.
No, I'm Brendan Burns.
Hello, I'm TV's Iain Lee.
Now, I don't know if you want...
I mean, that's a terrible... And hello, I'm TV's Iain Lee. Titter. Do you need the volume turned up, guys? Is the volume a bit quiet for you? Fred and Brendan got on. We all got on.
Watched the gardening show Ground Force on BBC One tonight, but apparently the ratings went up by 3 million when the word got out that the presenter wasn't wearing a bra.
3 million viewers just because the presenter wasn't wearing a bra. Well, if it's got to be done, it's got to be done.
Jokes. By the way, these are all from my own personal VHS collection. These early ones, I taped these myself. I would go home and watch it. And I did watch the first couple of series. And I remember having a conversation with Daisy because Daisy never watched it. And I thought that was weird. And I didn't watch it out of arrogance. I don't enjoy watching myself on TV, but I watched these and studied them as they went out to learn, to see what I was doing wrong, where I was getting a laugh, where I wasn't getting a laugh, bits of my body language that I was uncomfortable with, stuff that I liked, stuff I wanted to keep, stuff I wanted to junk. So I would go home and watch it. Certainly this series and the next series, probably the one after, I would go home and watch it. And also, here we go. I enjoyed watching myself on TV at the time because it was a novelty, because it was exciting, because it was a thrill, because this was what I had always wanted to do. This was what I had always wanted to do, and suddenly I'm doing it. So most of these I taped, but this series I probably taped. As we get later on, There are some episodes missing, but my mum taped them because my mum was really, really proud. Of course, she never told me off for anything I did on this. There are only 2 things that I got told off for. One was when I had to mime smoking. She didn't know I smoked. I was a smoker at this point. I was smoking roll-ups. And there was a bit where I had to smoke in it. She hated that. And there was a bit where I made a joke about the Queen Mother. And I got a phone call the next day, and she said, "You went too far there. But she taped all of these, and Mark, who got in touch with me on Twitter, very kindly digitised them and put them all up on YouTube. So, but there are a few episodes missing.
Up 3 million already. There you go. So October the 5th.
We never got as many as 3 million. I seem to remember the most we ever got in terms of viewers. I seem to remember 1.7 million. It wasn't a big show. I don't think, did we might have got to 2 million once. We might have got to 2 million, but I think it was 1.7. And towards the end, quite early on, the producers realised we got more viewers if Ali G was in it. So they would stagger. Ali G's team did less and less, partly because they were getting recognised, but partly because they didn't want to carry the show, which is how they saw what they were doing. And so they would stagger. So the episodes without Ali G, we'd get around 1 million, and the ones with Ali G would get like sort of 1.567, something like that.
First International Day of the Elderly, the start of the pheasant shooting season, and the swearing in of the elected Nigerian president. Quite a day in anybody's book. And here in the 11 o'clock show, we squeeze all its news into a single minute. Sir Paul Condon denies that police have a problem with racism, claiming they do it really well.
Now that's a good joke. That's a good joke, right? Some of these jokes are awful. Some of these do not stand the test of time. Some were awful at the time. Some are offensive, right? It's going to be a little bit of homophobia. It's going to be a little bit of racism. Get ready for it. Okay, get ready for it. And then some of them are brilliant. That's a good joke. Okay. You're having a timeout. Timeout. Do that again, you get blocked. Timeout. Timeout. Guys, come on. We'll talk about Sacha when we get to him.
Meanwhile, the BBC deny accusations of silence in the Lawrence family.
My son.
Sorry, we seem to have lost Mr. Lawrence's sound there.
Stephen Lawrence. I mean, it's not a joke about Stephen Lawrence. So I've got a cat crawling in front of me now. It's not a joke about Stephen Lawrence, but still, it's Elephant and Castle. Interestingly enough, right, that's Elephant and Castle. And here at the bottom of this slope, there's a ramp that goes up. That's the shopping centre. That's where eventually we did most of the Vox Pops, because we met people who had a Vox Pops face. They had a Vox face. We became really good. VFX 86. Thank you for the subscription. We had slope. We got really good at recognising who would be good to approach and who wouldn't be good to approach. But we did a lot there. And up there in the top was a bingo hall. And I would be there with a microphone, a radio mic. And one day we got the head of the bingo hall, the manager, came out and said, is there any chance... didn't you do them outside the post office near London Bridge Station as well? Asks Shand in the chat. Yes, we did. The manager or a security guard or something from the bingo hall came out and said, guys, is there any... How long are you going to be? Probably about another 35 minutes. Is there a problem? It's just that your mic is operating on the same frequency as ours and it's coming out over the bingo. Came out over the bingo. So Stephen Lawrence.
The BBC deny accusations of silence in the Lawrence family.
Elephant Castle again.
Sorry, we seem to have lost
It's a joke about the
Mr.
police.
Lawrence's...
It's a joke about the police. It's not a joke about Stephen Lawrence. That's fine. I'm fine with that. It's a joke about the police. Welcome all the new viewers, by the way. This will be put up on YouTube at some point. I suspect I'm going to put it out as a podcast as well. And if you want to subscribe, if someone could type in the subscription information into the chat, that would be really helpful. You don't have to, it's free, but if you want to subscribe with Amazon Prime, link it to your Twitch account. I get a few quid, doesn't cost you a penny. Otherwise, you can pay to subscribe or you can donate bits. We're all good. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Sando.
Oh, now, this is the video. Not quite sure what's happened here. This is. Here we go. We're in. Hey, I found a whistle. Thank you for subscribing. I really, really appreciate it.
As Tony Blair and his wife decide to renew their wedding vows, observers say Sherry Blair is not looking her best.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on, guys. It's a gag.
Police crack down on shoplifters, but sex shops are to be made exempt as customers often leave with a bulge in their clothes. 11-year-old eco-warrior threatens more dirty protests after getting his entire school to take part in a mass bedwetting.
11-year-old. So they'd be. That was 22 years ago. They'll be 33 now. And there's Ali G. And look, it's Ali G. Looking very, very straight. You wouldn't think that much of him. As he gets further, as we get into the next series, the clothes get more and more outrageous. But
coming up in the show, the Channel 4 Voice of Youth raps with Tory MP.
That's Andrew Newman there in that little video there. Andrew Newman was one of the producers. Didn't really like me. Didn't really want me on it. But then grew to like me, and then we had a big falling out. He then went on to be, I think, commissioning editor at Channel 4, head of comedy at Channel 4. Then he was really high up in BAFTA. I don't know what he's doing now. I think he's got his own production company, but really clever. He basically, as far as I remember, these are my memories, right? He pretty much came up with the Ali G character. Someone will tell me that's not true. He pretty much, he certainly refined it. If he came up with the name.
Eddie Taylor.
What about Holland? Will they still speak in Dutch? Don't tell me. Give me a clue. Dutch.
And
that's beautiful, right? That's beautiful. The Ali G stuff.
Tommy Vance gives us a blast from the past from this day in history.
Who's that breaking the news? Jesus Christ.
It's just cut to a picture of David Icke reading the news. Jesus Christ. There we go.
Right. Well, it's not the next best thing.
Very funny. Here we go. Now, it might be one of my Vox Pops now. Let's see where it goes. It's an ashtray on my table, I think, yeah?
In America today, the clean-up operation after the havoc wrought by Hurricane George has begun in earnest. In Mississippi and Alabama, wind speeds reached up to 150 miles an hour, putting out many of the state's burning crosses. Despite the damage to property, human casualties in Alabama have been light. We was lucky, said the governor.
I mean, some of these jokes, and it's not... I mean, they're not even that... Sorry, my cat's sticking around. It's not even that funny at the time. He executive produced the Sacha show, yeah. And it's not getting big laughs. Later on, the producers had absolutely no qualms about beefing up the laughter. I don't think they did it here very much. Because there's big... Well, in fact, they can't have beefed up the laughter because otherwise they would have done something with my intro. So I think that was going to be... Dude, what are you doing? My cat's being an idiot. I think that was going to be part of the thing, was that they were going to write and film the show on the same day, and they weren't going to do anything with... they weren't going to put in canned laughter. Later on, they certainly did put in... There's canned laughter. Laughter from the audience. They moved it around and boosted it. Stu says in the chat, did the audience ever get prompted to laugh? Yeah, you always at comedy shows, you get a floor manager go, kind of tell people when to clap and to laugh. Podry says, as writers, did you guys all look and hope to emulate the Day-to-Day and Brass Eye? I like the 11 o'clock show, but them other two shows have been immortalised. I think the 11 o'clock show was before Brass Eye. It was certainly after the maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. It was certainly after the Day-to-Day. It was certainly modelled on the Day-to-Day. And I was not so much in this. That's who I was channeling in that series. Brass Eye was before the 11 o'clock show, was it? Thank you, Dave. What was I saying? I was channeling Chris Morris there before the. Later on, I mean, they were writing it like Chris Morris stuff for me, and I wish someone, because I didn't know what I was doing, right? And I wish someone had taken me to one side and said, right, do you know what? We're going to spend a week. We're just going to spend a week reading scripts. And we're just going to try and find your voice. I didn't find my voice until about 5 years after the 11 o'clock show. I'm only just getting it now. I'm only just getting my voice now. Pats, you're going to have to move out of the way, darling, because I'm trying to do this.
Local hospitals have reported a few minor injuries. 7 or 8 people. You can count them on the fingers of one hand.
Brendan's got very strange hair there. For a man who's going bald, that's a very strange hairstyle.
Thank you, Deputy Dog. As for George, it's been downgraded from hurricane to tropical storm. Although, as far as we're concerned, it lost much of its power when we found out that it was actually called George with an S. Not George, no, George. George we could buy. George is rock. George is a mate. George buys you a beer. George serves it to you with a lacy doily underneath.
Are you calling my hurricane a poof?
It's a satire. It's a satire, but still unusual to hear that word, huh? I did tell you. But it's a satire. It's a joke on that kind of... Well, no, it's not getting him cancelled, because that's what tough guys would say. That's what tough guys would say. You calling me a... You calling me a... That. You calling me a... So that's what it is. But yeah, it's unusual to hear that word.
Yes, it twists the other way, if you know what I mean.
Hurricanes should be called things like Dave or Steve, but look at the names of this year's storms. Alex, Bonnie, Charlie, that's Charlie spelled E-Y.
Fred's been like doing TV and comedy for years at this point, and you can tell, man. You can just, you can tell he's so much more confident. He's so much better at reading the auto cue. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's in complete control of him. The material may not be the best, but he's got far more confidence than me or Brendan had. But I quite like Brendan's kind of laid-back attitude.
You can bet if it was spelled I-E, they'd dot the I with a little smiley circle. Danielle, Errol, Francis, and now Georges. It reads more like a guest list at a wine tasting. How hard would it be to have names that really scare people into action? Hurricane, my girlfriend's just missed her period.
Let that one sink in for a little bit, shall we? So these are hurricane titles that are supposed to scare you. That's quite funny. Is a photo of Jagger in the background, yeah. Is a photo.
Hurricane, was that lump there yesterday? Hurricane, that story where that woman had spider eggs laid in her cheek and they hatched and crawled all over her face and I was really frightened.
That's nice. That's nice. That's nice. That's nice. Me. It's going to be me now.
Yesterday, the IRA made their first appearance at a party conference since the Brighton bombing.
Oh, I'm going in with the IRA. Not my strongest point. It looks like I'm growing a moustache there. I'm not. Look at that hair. Here's what people don't get. Right? I'm playing a character there. I'm doing a character, right? And no one has ever got the fact that I'm playing a character. That isn't me. I mean, yes, I had that hair, but I'm playing a character. And no one ever got that. Anyway, here we go. Go straight in with the IRA. Here we go.
Laid in her cheek and they hatched and crawled all over her face and I was really frightened.
Here we go.
Yesterday, the IRA made their first appearance at a
Look at that shirt as well. That's like an inch too big, that shirt collar.
party
IRA,
conference
here
since
we
the
go.
Brighton
Fearless.
bombing. And Tony Blair met with Gerry Adams, who claimed that he could not order the IRA to give in their weapons. Here's me earlier on film on a street now. So if Gerry's unable to deliver IRA decommissioning, the so-called troubles in Northern Ireland are not as over as we first thought.
Do that again. Where is that? Where's that church? Where is that? Don't know where that is.
I'm here to find out what rubbish the ordinary person on the street has got to say on the subject, and whether they know what to do if they came face to face with a bomb. There is...
Right, that's Borough. That's the post office. We were talking about that. Is that Borough? Anyway, yeah, that's Borough, just opposite Borough Market. We used to do a lot of the post office there. Got some really good Vox faces. I suspect at some... I don't remember this one. I suspect at some point I'm going to carry a bomb. I suspect.
Talk to help the situation will be to have Catholics and Protestants competing in a TV-style sort of game show like It's a Knockout, Gladiators or Krypton Factor. Would that be a good idea, a good way to solve the problems?
Maybe, yeah.
What about 15 to 1?
I don't know what 15 to 1 is.
Sorry?
I don't know what 15 to 1 is.
It's a competition where there's 15 people.
This is improvised. These bits are improvised, right? And I start to relax. So I've 15 to 1. I don't know what it is. So then I think, and I do this now, I think I'm about to go into really specific details as to what 15 to 1 is. I used to love doing stuff like this.
What about 15 to 1?
I don't know what 15 to 1 is.
Sorry?
I don't know what 15 to 1 is.
It's a competition where there's 15 people standing behind, and William G. Stewart stands there and asks each one of them a question. In the first round,
There we go.
they leave one life. In the third round, they nominate each other until they...
That's funny! This is what I used to like doing, right? Was going off the script, off the questions, and improvising. And that went on for ages. That would have been 4 or 5 minutes of me telling him the rules of 15 to 1. I bet he comes back with no.
We've got 15, they're down to 3 people. The one is the winner. 15 to 1 is the winner.
That sounds fine.
Would it help?
That's funny. That's funny, right? Whimsical, exactly. Whimsy. Before it got... The show, as the series progresses, gets meaner and meaner and very nasty. This is nice and charming.
For example, if we sent the Chuckle Brothers over...
There we go. So we're going to send the Chuckle Brothers to Northern Ireland.
15, they're down to 3 people. The one is the winner. 15 to 1 is the winner.
That sounds fine.
Would it help, for example, if we sent the Chuckle Brothers over there to do a cabaret with a unionist theme?
I don't know. There's got to be extremes on both sides who are not going to enjoy it.
I mean, would it help if we sent Joe Pasquale or the Chuckle Brothers over there? Would that help the situation in Northern Ireland?
Might help.
Which would be the most successful, Joe Pasquale or the Chuckle Brothers, do you reckon?
Chuckle Brothers.
The IRA may become...
I mean, it's not a great one. This is our second day, and we would have filmed that in the morning. And this is basically now just me doing gags and people going, yeah. You know, that's what the majority of this seems to be, is me saying some funny things, the other person going, yeah. Now, here's what you got to know. This is before Big Brother. This is before any of those kind of things. So there was still, in 1998, there was still a naivety around TV. And a bloke in a suit doing a posh voice and a camera, people would still kind of trust it. People would still trust it, which is how we got away with a lot of it. Obviously, a lot of people hadn't... This was episode 2, so only one episode had gone out. So, evening, David. So people didn't recognise me. It became harder as we got more recognisable, but not impossible. We just picked people that looked like they would never watch Channel 4. And, I mean, this isn't particularly funny, any of this, is it really? But
political party. Who do you think they should get?
Let's go back.
The Chuckle Brothers over there. Would that help the situation in Northern Ireland?
Might help.
Which would be the most successful, Joe Pasquale or the Chuckle Brothers, do you reckon?
Did anyone take it the wrong way and get physical, says Sloop? Yeah, one person, one old guy, saw me in the shopping centre in Elephant Car, said, I know who you are, you prick. And he went to punch me. But he tried to punch me in slow motion. No one got physical. I got abuse. I got, told to F off. And I got people laughing. Got a lot of people laughing. Talk about trigger happy. about halfway through one of the series, we got told to change the style of the Vox Pops. Dom Jolly worked on this show. You'll see Dom Jolly a bit later on. We got told to change the style of the Vox Pops. And then about 6 months later, Trigger Happy came out.
Tucker Brothers.
The IRA may become a political party. Who do you think they should get for their party political broadcasts?
Father Ted or something like that.
Father Ted would be good.
Oh yeah, he's dead, isn't he? I forgot that.
One of the new measures they may introduce is bomb disposal training for everyone in the country.
If you trained me to defuse a bomb, wouldn't you be also training me to make one in the first place?
No.
I like that for two reasons, right? Because I think I'm about to give this gentleman a bomb. He was being very serious, that guy, being very, very serious. In one of these Vox Pops at some point, we voxed Mad Frankie Fraser. But irrelevant to this. He's being very, very serious. And this is what I do on the radio show a lot now, is I play dumb. I love playing dumb. I love playing dumb. No. Enflix. I love playing dumb. And I do it a bit here, but I hadn't quite got the hang of it. I wish I'd done it more.
Wouldn't you be also training me to make one in the first place?
No. What we've got here is actually got a mock bomb.
We've got a mock bomb! Oh! Said an old man holding a bomb.
Bang! Let's cut the green. Quickly. One. Yes. That was just in time. That was exactly the right one to do. The green and yellow every time. Now, you've just saved your friend's life. You've saved everyone's lives here. The fruit stall, everything. How do you feel about that?
That's quite good because I'm an electrician, so I'm proud of that.
Well, you should have got it right.
Well, not really. It's completely different bomb disposal.
That's a great line. We should have got it right. Nah, not really. It's completely different bomb disposal. Imagine that. We can laugh at this. Yeah, of course we can. Sue's asking, if this was today, armed police would be there in minutes. Can we actually laugh at this? Yes. I cannot believe that I'm stood opposite Borough Market, where, of course, there was a horrendous terrorist attack, handing people a bomb. I'm wearing goggles.
Bang!
Shit. Still got that watch. Same style watch. There's now I'm in IRL live trolling. It's a close up of a bomb, which is very obviously taped to me. Now this is a different time, right? This is before suicide bombers. But even I'm shocked by this. I think this looks funny.
This is Iain Lee for the 11 o'clock show.
I'm wearing a bomb. Pre-9/11.
Iain, I think we should let the people at home know about bomb disposal.
Yeah, I said on the film that if you want to dispose a bomb, you cut the green and yellow wire. I haven't got a clue. I just made it up. I don't really know. Sorry.
I haven't got a clue. I made it up. I don't really know. Sorry. I quite like that voice. I don't know why I stopped doing that. Yeah, suicide bombers. Yeah, no, in this country. Suicide bombers in this country. Of course, we've had kamikaze pilots, if you want to go back that far. But yeah, in this country, the majority of people had not heard of suicide bombers.
And it's different from electricity?
Yes.
Good. In a bid to get a life back on track, Louise Woodward, the woman who brought new meaning to the phrase bouncing baby boy...
Louise Woodward, of course. She was a regular kind of mention on this. She was a nanny in America who was charged with murder or the homicide or manslaughter about... It wasn't coke at this point. Okay, Serenity Wild. That's great. Thanks very much indeed. Let's crack
Jay
on.
had her first lecture at the South Bank University, where she's studying for a degree in law.
Louise is hoping eventually to become a lawyer and is looking forward to being just an ordinary, normal student.
Now, this, I didn't like... Here's the thing, right? Doing this stuff... that's the first one this episode that's probably made me go, oof. I had nothing to do with the writing of the stuff in the studio, and I would come in and would kind of just read it a couple of times and do it. And I never, even later on, I never had the confidence... Stu, no, Stu, I'm not... Here's the thing. Stu's saying, oh, no, man, fast forward this shit. No. We're going to watch all of it. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I told you. I warned you. But also, if I skip this bit, right, the next bit someone else might not like, and the next bit someone else might not like. We're watching all of it. There's no point... thank you, Are You Sitting Comfortably? For the subscription. Stu says, I just mean the Louise Woodward stuff. No, because you don't like this, right? The next bit someone else might not like. We skip all of it. We either do all of it or we skip all of it, right? Now, I'm not saying I'm proud of all of this stuff. I'm not saying I stand behind all of this stuff. Not at all. I think it's interesting to watch it. Also, on a personal level, I'm finding it really cathartic. Because this is like... Yeah, but it's sort of weird. I didn't know. Stu, you have the option to not watch. You have the option to not watch. You have the option, if you're listening to this on the podcast, you have the option. I'm not apologising. I've not said sorry yet, Generation 2 Games. Thank you, Lady Bobbins, for the subscription. You have the option to stop listening or to stop watching, right? I'm going to watch all of this because this happened. This happened. This went out. This is part of my history. And it's so, did we get any complaints? Loads, but they kept most of the complaints away from us. We'll talk about the complaints later on. We'll talk about the complaints later on because a lot of them kept away with us. And also, kind of when the series started properly next year, that was like the beginning of internet forums for us anyway. I like that this discussion is happening as well, David. Definitely. Kind of like in 1999, people set up some internet forums, and that's when it got actually quite upsetting for me because people would write on the internet forums that I was shit. And they've not been timed out, Stu. Why would you be timed out? No one's timed out. So we'll talk about the internet forums. And we will talk about the post that we got and things a little bit later on. So this happened.
Apparently her first day has been rather difficult when people asked, what did you do in your year off? She had to reply, I shook a baby to death.
Maybe Stu was right. Thank you, David, for the subscription. I don't stand by that joke. I can't stand by that joke. I can't stand by that joke. I would never make that joke now. At the time, I was 25. I was fearless. I was an idiot. I said it. I mean, what can I say? I said it. I'm surprised by that. I don't remember that. I thought it got nastier. Or we're going to see Paul Garner in a minute. I thought it got nastier as we went on. She was found innocent, yeah. She was found innocent of murder.
An ordinary, normal student. Apparently her first day has been rather difficult when people asked, what did you do in your year off? She had to reply, I shook a baby to death.
Straight face, holding that face to camera. Holding that face to camera. Holding that face to camera. Look at that. Holding it. Holding it. Holding it. Holding it. Holding it. Holding that face to camera.
At first, Louise's fight to get a place in a law course didn't go too smoothly. These are the scenes in her hometown of Elton, where her fans heard the news that she hadn't got into her first choice, Loughborough.
Paul Garner.
We've come to a decision, and on this occasion, we will not be offering Miss Woodward a place at Loughborough University.
Okay, that was Paul Garner. That was Paul Garner, who's a good friend of mine, and he did a lot of funny vox pops and films on this. Then he got the boot, I think. Great writer. He is Chaz Hodges' son-in-law from Chaz and Dave. Evening, Ollie. And Mrs. Ollie. God, we're only 8 minutes in, and we've been going for an hour. Right.
Eventually, she got a place at South Bank University, and at Freshers' Week ball, she vowed to hit the floor with the kids and get smashed off her skull.
The new Slimline Louise has opted against the traditional greasy student food available in the college canteen in favour of a strict diet plan she learnt in the States. It's the one where you have a shake for breakfast, a shake for lunch, and by evening you could really murder something.
I mean, Jesus, I'm uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. It's horrible, isn't it? It's horrible when it's mean and it's nasty. But here's the thing. Paul Garner did a lot of stuff for Chris Morris. Yeah, Paul Garner did a lot of stuff for Chris Morris. It's interesting. Some of you are finding this funny, which is okay. And yeah. This is it. You get a joke and you just keep going for it. Oof, should be the universal reaction. I mean, how do I feel watching that? I feel really uncomfortable. I feel a little bit upset, a little bit nauseous. I'm not going to say sorry for it again. I got told off for saying sorry too much in the last stream. It's uncomfortable. What boots am I wearing? What am I wearing? Look how skinny I am. This was before cocaine, and I am so skinny. What's the name of that producer with the dreadlocks? He came and saw the show and loved it, and she was found innocent, Podry. What was the name of the guy with the producer guy with the dreadlocks? He came and saw the show and described me as no, TV producer, Levi Roots. Oh, what was his name? Comedy producer. Did the trombone sketch. Victor Lewis Smith. Thank you. Victor Lewis Smith. He came and saw the show and he liked it. He was a fan of mine. He described me as a funny cadaver, I think, or something like that. So, let's carry on.
Good luck to her in her new career. Let's hope she makes a killing in the city.
The German government announced this morning that it's melting down €3 million coins because of a design fault. Every day it seems that there is more chaos at the heart of the EU. So let's go over to our European Affairs correspondent, Wim van der Laan, to learn of the latest lunacy that's being sprouted from the mouth of Brussels.
Now, he's actually out there in Brussels, not live. They would have had like 2 days out there and filmed all of that. Biff, baff, boff, bish, bash, bosh, I think is the phrase. And he, of course, is the voice of the captain in the Octonauts. He's the voice of the meerkat. He is the Geordie in Alan Partridge. He is a very wealthy man.
Here today in Brussels, the European Commission announced that to be in line with current European practices, each member state must now produce one chocolate bar and one fizzy drink, the name of which is a rude word to another country. The Austrians will produce...
That's funny! That's fun. I mean, it turns out we were part of the problem, and that's, you know, I'm to blame for Brexit. But that's funny. Listen to that. That's a delicious, delicious gag.
In with current European practices, each member state must now produce one chocolate bar and one fizzy drink, the name of which is a rude word to another country. The Austrians will produce nip kiss, which I cannot even tell you what it means in my language. And if you British were to come to my country, I would like you to eat shit and die. Then if you are thirsty, you must now drink from my dirty cock. So,
what I'm really laughing at as well is that there'll be someone under there lying down or kneeling down, passing him up the new things. Player well known, thank you for the subscription. 3 months, thank you.
How do you like the taste of that, yeah?
Is that true, Ben?
Sadly, no. I have been pulling the wool over your bollocks.
Then why are you saying this?
Because we're Europeans and we hate you British.
But I'm not British. I don't have a bowler hat or an umbrella, and I've never been buggered by my headmaster at school.
There's time yet, Brendan.
Isn't it funny? That got a gasp. The being buggered by your headmaster at school got a gasp. Nothing else has so far.
This right here is the new Cosmopolitan with Pamela Anderson on the front. Nothing wrong about that, you might think, except that Cosmopolitan have admitted that the picture has been airbrushed to make her breast look smaller. And if you look closely, as I have, you'll see for yourself. It's a growing trend. In fact, a number of people are now suggesting that this picture of Anthea Turner on the cover of Tatler has also been doctored in some way. Well, we can settle the issue. The 11 o'clock show has exclusively obtained the original undoctored version of the photo, and here it is.
This is a nice gag. I mean, none of these are really standout, funny. There's some, I mean, come on.
Well, we'll be back after the break when you can see this.
Ali G coming up.
Yeah. They call me Mr. Bombastic, reggae fantastic. Come back in the second half because I'm going to be talking to Teddy Taylor, MP, about Europe. Keep it real.
Genuinely slightly worried. No. We're not having that language, Jack. We're not having that language. It's a timeout. One more and it's a ban. All right? One more. I'm genuinely worried about whether I'm going to get a legal challenge from Sacha for showing this. I Instagrammed that I was doing this, and I linked him in it, and I'm really worried. Sacha is the one I think who could get litigious about me showing this. Sacha is the one I think could be litigious. More so than the channel, more so than Ricky, maybe Daisy. I don't know. So we'll have to see, but that does worry me a bit. Now, we might have one of these interstitials where we come back from the break and it's me has like a newspaper service. Stand it! And these were great fun to film, right? We filmed at the roundabout in Hammersmith, and it was me stood there, stand it! We filmed for about 2 or 3 hours, and I would basically, with my excellent peripheral vision, would be able to see people coming, and I would make up a headline about them. I don't know if it's on this. It was certainly in the last one.
Hundreds of school children stolen by women wearing glasses and brown wax jacket.
That's quite funny.
Welcome back to the 11 o'clock show, bringing you today's news nicely. And thanks very much for coming back after the break. We're glad you weren't tempted by Phil Collins Live by request on ITV. After all, who wants to listen to a middle-aged bald git wittering on?
Em says it's very trigger happy. We did it first.
Europe chaos in store. That was the headline on the front of today's Sun, as the Bank of England warned that things can only get worse. But does everybody really understand what European Union will be like? Here to help us figure it out is Channel...
Isn't that funny? They didn't retake that because they were so. It was a real thing to film, to write and film and edit a comedy show in one night. So we filmed this. I didn't go out live. We filmed this at 7:30 at night, 7:30 till 9. Then they had 2 hours to edit it, and quite often they would be editing the second half while the first half was going out. But I'm surprised they didn't pick it up there.
Four's official voice of youth, Ali G, talking to top Tory MP and Eurosceptic Teddy Taylor.
Yeah. You don't stop. It goes out to the crew up top.
Here we go.
Wicked. We is here with Teddy Taylor, MP for Southport, and he is a Tory, and he is talking to us about Europe, because it's time we know about this Europe tin that we're hearing about every day.
Isn't that funny? 2 days after we leave Europe. This.
So who else is in Europe first off?
Well, the countries that are in Europe, for example, are countries like Spain, like...
Now, on there, they will have a lot of written questions that are gags. They'll have a lot of straight questions. The way you would do this is you'd have someone for half an hour, 40 minutes, and a lot of it would be straight interview, and then you'd throw in the really ridiculous stuff.
Germany, like France, like Finland, and you'll find there's some countries, of course, that haven't joined.
Reading the script.
And the interesting thing is...
Most of them is crap countries, though.
Well, I don't know if they're crap countries. Some of them are very good countries.
Is Jamaica in Europe?
Jamaica's not there in the Commonwealth, and it's really
Is that
sad
not
because-
racialist, though, that they is not...
Well, no, they say basically the only
Very
ones
funny.
that can join the European countries. An awful lot of the decisions are made in what's called horse trading. You support me in this one, and I'll support you in this one.
What do you mean with horses?
No, horse trading, just basically, look, Ali, I want to get this thing. I don't want a Euro plug. So will you vote with me to stop the Euro plug, and I'll vote with you on something else?
And where do the horses come in?
The horse might be saying, no Euro plug, and in exchange they'll say, well, we want more money for this, or more money for that, or more power for this.
So the horse... the horse is at a meeting? Where? So will it be all right to kill someone like you can do in Denmark?
Well, the MPs in on the interviews? No. Did the interviewer know beforehand? No what? No, they just turned up. They told they were being interviewed for the phrase we had to use, right? Because we couldn't say the 11 o'clock show. How we want to interview for the 11 o'clock show? We would say the Ali G stuff is very dated, says Rob. I think this is hilarious. What we would say is the lawyers, when we were asking all the Vox Pops, after I'd interviewed them or spoken to people, a researcher would then ask them to sign a release form, and we would say we are filming for a late night topical comedy show. We kind of mumble the word comedy, and with emphasis on topical. Because about a year, shortly after this, the name 11 o'clock show became synonymous with taking the piss out of people and winding people up. Did it get harder to get people over time? Yeah, it did.
One of them countries, Denmark or Sweden.
Well, Sweden, I don't think they've got lots of murders there, but the only thing is...
Yeah, that's the one. So what about the pornos? Would that still be legal in Amsterdam?
Well, it's going to be very difficult indeed, quite frankly, as the borders go down to try and accept a difference in policy.
So will I still be able to buy stuff with, dogs and women or whatever in Amsterdam? Is that going to be illegal now?
Oh no, you'll still be able to do that. But the whole question is it going to have the same law for Europe?
So we could start getting pornos of that quality coming
if the European Council of Ministers decide that the same rules should apply throughout Europe.
Aren't there any good things about it, though? Like I don't know, the ladies, like, everyone knows we've got a lot of mingers here. And, you get some Swedes, whatever, and because they is easier and less frigid.
Okay, no. You can see why Ali G took off. He's brilliant. I'd met Sacha before. I'd met Sacha twice. I'd done an open spot at a comedy gig he ran in a pizza restaurant in West London somewhere, like West Kensington or something. And Ardal O'Hanlon was on the bill. I was the open spot. I was very nervous and I threw up. I remember it really well. I was very nervous and I threw up. And I did an open spot and I killed it. And he was doing it as Sacha. Dennis Pennis was before this, yes. He was doing this as Sacha. He was doing the stand-up gig as himself. And I'd killed it, and I did my whole 10 minutes, and I killed it. Killed it. And I walked off, and he came on and goes, do you guys want to see some more of Iain? Iain, come back. And I didn't have any material left. I'd used it all. So I had to do 5 minutes of just nothing. And then I phoned Sacha up afterwards, and he said he'd get me in for a paid gig, and he never did. This is maybe 2 years before this. And then I also saw him at the comedy club that was in Hammersmith. Big old comedy venue, closed down now, of course. And he was doing an act. I saw him in the toilets afterwards, and he died on his ass. Right. But he was doing an act where he was dressed as an Arab, just dancing. So like, and that was it. I can't remember. It was a very weird act, and he died. So I've met him a couple of times.
You can't go to looking for a girl in Southend. Southend and Sea is the place where the loveliest girls are.
Me had a look around, man.
Proper laugh. He's proper laughing there. Every now and then you see him proper laugh.
I gotta say, it's the nicest place in the world, Southend.
No, it's nice, but the girls is not rocking, man. If you want to join Europe, make sure you have a BRIAN, know what you was doing before you throw it all away. Big shout out.
That long time ago.
Teddy T.
Well done.
Respect.
Yeah, that's nice. Matty said, did we ever see him while filming the show? Yeah, at this stage we did. In the build-up to this, we've been working on this all summer. And, saw him a lot. And got on really well with him. But then very, very quickly, pretty much by the next series, the Ali G camp. I mean, they were separate anyway, but they were all in the same building. But then I think they might have even had an office somewhere else. They were separate. That's my cats. They were separate. And we didn't really see much of the Ali G people. So it was Ali G, Dan Mazer. I don't know if Dan was producing it at this stage. I think Andrew Newman was producing it at this stage. But then Dan Mazer kind of took over. And, yeah.
After months of anticipation, today finally saw the launch of Sky TV's digital television service. Now, viewers lucky or rich enough to have coughed up for a decoder unit will have the choice from a seemingly infinite number of new channels.
But just what is digital TV?
Oh, this I seem to remember being funny. I remember a gag about the Milk Channel. And there's a gag as well about a Dutch version of the 11 o'clock show, but I don't think that's in here. Patty, could you get out of that plastic bag, please? Patty! Thank you. Here we go.
Well, digital radio has been on air for a month now, and listeners say the sound quality is quite amazing. For instance, here's John Humphreys on this morning's Today programme. And if you listen carefully, you can pick up the most incredible detail.
Lord Hattersley was the deputy leader of the old Labour Party. Were things really that different then, Roy Hattersley?
I think we're very different as far as lobbyists are concerned. I happen to believe that the Prime Minister is one of the most honest and one of the most sincere.
I remember the real magic roundabout. It was wonderful, Dougal and Zebedee and Brian and all of those. Anyway, here's the weather.
But I don't know what was happening there. Was he taking heroin or masturbating? What was he doing there? I didn't really understand that. But also, notice how he was doing coke. That wasn't coke, 'cause he was carrying on talking. He was chopping coke. Okay. But notice how slow that gag is. That's a slow setup for a not great payoff.
Material and screen match the quality it's broadcasting. The new service will feature channels such as UK Gold 2, which will broadcast leftovers from UK Gold 1. So good news there for fans of Triangle and Tucker's Luck.
Do we need so many new channels? We've got our hands on a decoder and a program guide, so we can have a flick through and make our own minds up.
Doesn't this seem just like... I thought he was slapping his arm for a vein or masturbating. He couldn't do coke while he was talking. Anyway... Doesn't this seem odd, going, well, look, we've got lots of new channels coming.
53, what's this, Brendan?
This is the...
The audience loving this.
This is the Civ channel. Round-the-clock coverage of sensational sieve action. See popular foodstuffs sieved and sorted by the country's
That
leading
looks like
sieve
Paul Garner on the left.
Sieve channel.
That
Round-the-clock
thumbs up.
coverage of sensational sieve action. See popular foodstuffs sieved and
Paul
sorted
Garner.
by the country's leading sievers. Oh, cool. Hang on. Try 76. That's the milk shopping channel.
Things you get to drink.
Garner.
Now, of course, milk
Charlie
is
Skelton.
handy.
Charlie Skelton, who... Do you ever see that programme, Space Cadets, with Johnny Vaughan? It was a great programme, and they bottled it right at the end. I bet they got complaints, where they basically tricked a load of thick people into thinking they were going up to space. They were flying to Russia, and actually they were just flying in a circle for 4 hours. Hang on, Johnny Quiz in the chat is saying you auditioned for it? No. Anyway, in Space Cadets, they had a stooge who was on the flight. They never left the studio. And that was Charlie Skelton. That was Charlie Skelton. Really clever, funny, odd bloke, but funny, brilliant. I mean, odd. I was always really scared of the writers. They were a couple of years older than me. Johnny Quiz, he was in your audition. Gosh, the writers were a couple of years older than me. They were so clever and so fast. And I was just this lanky... I was just an idiot. I had no idea what I was doing. Imposter syndrome, completely imposter syndrome. And I found them really intimidating.
Available in several size containers. The most popular being these. Now, this is the full pint version because it's a large full pint. And this is the half pint version. So called because it's roughly half the content of what's in this. Now, John Gaynor from the Milk Marketing Board, these are very popular sizes with the consumer, aren't they?
Very popular indeed, particularly the pint. I mean, the pint is the Rolls-Royce of carton sizes.
Right.
People like the pint, not so big and clumsy as something like that would be. They can get their hand around it.
Now, you say the Rolls-Royce of cartons, but the Rolls-Royce of bottles has always been this shape. Now, this one is the gold top, so called because it has a gold top lid on the white body, and that always reminds me of the broadcaster Chris Evans, actually.
Looks not unlike Bonnie Langford as well.
That's true, yeah.
But that's one of the great things about milk. It can resemble so many different celebrities. Yes.
See, that's nice. That's nice. I like all this kind of charming, silly, surreal whimsy. I like the whimsy. As the series goes on, we go away from the whimsy and we get nasty. But
It's a bit dull. Well, how about 96? That's the 3D writing network.
What are they writing? Enamel.
How about 96? That's the News Gold channel with Tommy Vance.
Oh, lovely Tommy Vance. These are written, as far as I'm aware, by Rob Moore. Rob Moore was certainly in charge of it. He may not have been at this point, actually. We'll look at the credits. Maybe Rob wasn't involved in it at this stage, but he certainly came in later and was in charge of these bits. Rob Moore was a lovely guy, still a lovely guy. After the show, we go and stand on the balcony of ITV and smoke a spliff, and then get a little buzz on, and then go in and be part of the vibe.
Hi, my name is Tommy Vance,
Lovely
and this
Tommy.
is my News Gold.
It's 10 years ago today, and the Olympic record books are smashed with hammers of truth. Drug-busted Ben Johnson is banned, but plucky Linford squirts only the purest urine into the tester pots. He's cleared and promoted, but only the second. Nice try, Linford, but next time, why not take some drugs? They make you go fast, like a wolf.
Oh, man. That was lovely. Tommy Vance was great. And I spent a bit of time with Tommy later on when he did the News Slam, I think it was called. So it would be the start of the show. He would record it backstage behind the set. So you'd be behind the set and then you've got probably about that wide, a foot, 2 feet behind the set. And I would be backstage waiting for I would be behind the set in this gap, this 2 foot wide gap, and Tommy would be there recording his News Slams. And man, I wish I'd spoken to him. More. I mean, I got on with him. He was a big fan of mine, but I wish I'd spent more time with him. I really do.
And who's that breaking the news? Jesus Christ.
David Icke.
Not quite, but it's the next best thing.
That should have got a big laugh.
It's 1978, and it's the Cold War. But no one's colder than Georgy Markov. Why? He's dead. Stabbed by cunning commies with a poison-tipped umbrella. Ouch. But do we care? Only because it's a cool way to die.
Holy
Is
shit.
it a bird? Is it a plane? Hey, it's a plane, of course. On this day in 1968, Boeing introduces the biggest jet yet since the dawn of time. They look great, but you wouldn't catch me in one. Do you know how much they weigh? No, nor do I. From crazy planes to just plain crazy. It's 1958, Anno Domini, and the kids have gone hoop-loopy. America is hooked on hula. They say it is safer than drugs, but try doing this at my age. I'd sooner have a spliff.
Here we go.
And now it's time for what the papers ought to say.
Slow, really slow feature that just isn't funny. Slow. So slow, isn't it?
It was announced today that Comic Relief are to give £46,000 to a group of Scousers to research the effects of negative stereotyping of Liverpudlians. George McCain is quoted as saying in the Telegraph, during the Beatles era, the city tended to be regarded as hip happening. And what he ought to have said was...
The night the Beatles made any cash, they left and went to live in Sussex.
Oh. It's not funny.
More TV programmes are made about Scousers than any other region, and the reason is that they are what you see on screen. Interesting, delightful people.
Scousers make cheap extras for TV comedies because you don't have to spend money on tasteless makeup and wardrobe.
Oh, quite a lot of... David on the chat says some of these fall a bit flat. Quite a lot of them fall a bit flat. I mean, the hit rate, in terms of the gags, is not great. And even at the time, it's not great.
Liverpudlians complain they are routinely and unfairly portrayed in a bad light. When they're not taking drugs, they're stealing. And when they're not stealing, they're running around with gangsters.
And don't forget doll fiddling. But to be fair, the group has received them.
Liverpool jokes, Liverpool jokes.
Money, so...
Brendan's dyslexic, so we're all reading this. When we're in the studio, we're reading it, right? It's all on auto cue. It's all on auto cue. And Brendan was dyslexic, and we didn't find out until he got in. It wasn't, the producers didn't know until he got in the studio, so he had trouble reading what was said. He starts wearing glasses, I think, next week to try and improve his dyslexia. It may be in tomorrow's episode or next week. And it was. I remember a lot of people in Channel 4 kind of banging their heads and scratching their heads, going, what do we do? No, he didn't tell us. And there was a lot of people concerned about how they were going to make it work, Brendan.
They do intend to spend the cash on positive propaganda and civic pride, both of which, incidentally, are running in tomorrow's 3:20 at Kempton.
I have to say, I've met Brendan since. I still find him intimidating, and he doesn't understand why. He's an intimidating guy, and I was terrified of him here. He was, he won't mind me saying, I think he was a bit of a caner in the way that I would become a caner later on. And the kind of only instance I'd had with him was up in Edinburgh a year before, 97, and I was doing a show with Mackenzie Crook, Charlie Cheese's Jacket of Badges. No, it wasn't the Jacket of Badges. What show was it before the Jacket of Badges? Charlie Cheese. Maybe it was Jacket of Badges, I don't know. And I wasn't great, and there was a real buzz around Mackenzie. Bob Mortimer came to see him, and a lot of people were talking about Mackenzie because he just had it. And I didn't. We were sharing a place with Charlie Chuck, and he told me off for swearing at the audience. Can't swear at audience. Can't swear at audience. And I was having a really tough time up in that Edinburgh. And because I just didn't find, it took me so long to find my voice and find what I was. And also Mackenzie was doing so well. I was doing so badly. We're in the same show. It was his show. And I was kind of like the sort of compere, but doing a character. And I couldn't get it. And one evening in the bar that we were doing the show upstairs, a very, let's say drunk, let's be generous, and drunk Brendan Burns came in, I think with Matt Lucas, and went, "You're on," I can't do the accent, "You're on live TV, you effing C, 5 points." And terrified me, bullying and intimidating. He's apologised since. But we're struggling around Brendan. So being on a set with him, I was terrified. Mainly my thing. That's mainly my issue.
News today that Monica Lewinsky claims to have found God, when I think we all know it's just any excuse for that girl to get down on her knees.
Guys. There's the head to the thing. I don't know what to do, so I'm going to do this.
But she sucked the president off, come on.
That was me! Now let's see if, I don't think I get a laugh there.
But she sucked the president off, come on. But for the latest on the Clinton story and all the American news, we go over now to Rich Hall, live in Washington. Rich.
Hi, everyone. I'm standing in front of the United States Capitol building. Look at that bad boy, will you? Man, that makes me feel patriotic. Monica Lewinsky yesterday asked to go on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and Oprah turned her down out of some sense of moral outrage. By the way, Oprah's new movie, The Beloved, opens this weekend, in which she does a nude scene. So see there? The irony bus runs about every 3 minutes in this country. All right, elsewhere, Mike Tyson is out in Las Vegas undergoing
Rich Hall, the inspiration for Mo from The Simpsons. Yeah, you're the second person to say that. I love you. Thank you for that.
Evaluation to determine whether he should box again. Psychiatric evaluation to determine whether he should be beating the hell out of other people. Now, they asked him why he wanted to fight again, and he said, I'm not making this up, a man needs to eat. Anyway, he claims he's broke. Some actress sued him for libel. Claims that he called her a maliciously manipulative money grabber and sued him. Maliciously manipulative money. You ever seen Mike Tyson talk? I'm pretty sure he didn't say maliciously manipulative money grabber. Might have said malicious there by accident, you know, like with a mouthful of cookies or something, just going, honey, these are malicious. These are great. All right, I gotta go. See you later.
Well, it's good to see so many men laughing. Good, hearty British laughs. But how many of you men are laughing on the inside, huh? Not many.
Oh, I remember
according
this.
To this report in the Mail.
I remember this about depression. Okay, only women get periods. That's great news. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Catherine. I suspected that was something. I remember this is one of the few bits I remember. It's about depression, and it's me wearing a coat that I think I got from a charity shop. There's a brown, when I'm out and about, I wear a brown coat that we got, me and Andrew Newman bought in a charity shop for £2. And it's talking about like walking through treacle and stuff. I don't know if it's very funny, but I remember, and they throw darts at me. It doesn't get many laughs. It's not that funny.
Today, it says here that British men are the most depressed in Europe, according to the Royal College of Psychiatrists.
Let's deal with mental health.
Of course they are. They live in Britain.
Apparently, the primary symptom is, and I quote, a depressed mood.
Roscoe says, did I have depression back then? Yeah. I wasn't right. I was self-medicating with a lot of weed, smoking weed every single day. I was confused about my sexuality. A lot of shame around my sexual behaviour. Did not know at that point, did not have the courage at that point to say that I was bisexual. No, not too personal at all. This is what this is for, Roscoe. That's why if you're listening to this on a podcast, come and join us on a Sunday night, 8 o'clock. You can have these chats. If you're watching on YouTube, Sunday night, 8 o'clock, twitch.tv/Iain Lee, twitch.tv/Iain Lee. I was a mess. I don't have the coat. I don't have the suit. I got rid of all of it. I was a mess. I didn't know what I was, who I was. And so I was not happy. I don't think I was on I had been on antidepressants. I'd been on Prozac before then. I've been on Prozac before then, yeah.
That's very revealing. So if ever you've sat at home feeling depressed and wondered what's wrong, it's because you're depressed. The Guardian asked sufferer Philip Wood to describe his condition, and he says, I call it my black, heavy overcoat of pain, impossible to take off because the buttons are soldered together. My body aching from all the vain attempts to rip it off. It gets worse. He goes on to say he describes his depression as rather like walking through a vat of treacle whilst being attacked by red-hot darts, fleeting but so painful. Can you imagine how this must feel? Let's ask Iain Lee.
Chelsea boots.
So how do you feel, Ian?
I feel really bad.
It's not the coat, that's not the
I feel a
coat.
bit like I'm swimming through an ocean of sinister toads or nibbling at the shins of my mind, the fluorescent teeth of hate, while an enormous caravan driven by gypsies and tears trundles up and down the dual carriageway of my soul.
And get yourself out of the tray of treacle, that'll all seem better. That's about it from us.
That's weird. I seem to remember that going longer than that. Know it all. Thank you for the subscription. I seem to remember that lasting longer than that. Right, let's go have a look at the names.
Thursday, October the 1st. You were quite a day.
Good night, special lady.
Good night.
I'm dribbling. You see me? I'm dribbling. That was me. I'm drooling.
Good night, Thursday, October the 1st. You were quite a day.
Good night, special lady.
Good night.
Here we go. Let's see some of the names. London Studios, they don't exist anymore. GMB moved there. 11 o'clock show was shite. Thank you, washing machines broke. You don't have to. I tell you what, let's make it easier for you. You don't have to watch. You don't have to watch. You don't have to watch. If it was shite then, why are you watching it 22 years later? Can you imagine how that must feel? Let's ask Iain Lee. So the London studios, it wasn't the big studio there, but we saw a lot of famous people there. I remember going in the canteen, not the canteen, like the little coffee area, and there were all these rockers, and it looked like they were extras from Spinal Tap, but it was Jimmy Page and Led Zeppelin and their entourage, and they were filming, like they were like doing like a TV special where it was like all robes and cushions and stuff. No, we're not watching two. No, this was downstairs. We're not watching two episodes. Don't know these people. Michael Matheson. Okay. Leonora Martin, who was good friends with Leo. Kath Pick, I didn't really know very well. Production team: Lizzie Flatt, Helen Weeks. Helen was a runner and she was great. I really liked her. Daisy Donovan, obviously. Don't remember any of those names. Writers: Ben Cordell. We discussed Ben Cordell. Steve Cochran, Paul Garner, John Gordillo. See, I don't remember John Gordillo being there. These were the main writers, right? And as the series went on, we got more and more writers. But these were kind of the core throughout. Yeah, Sean Park, they were all great. They were all great. These were the main writers. As the show went on, it became people could fax in jokes. Mackenzie becomes involved in the next series, I think. Yeah, so we got another 4 episodes before we get to series 2, Mackenzie. But yeah, people would fax in jokes. I think you got paid like 25 quid a joke, 50 quid a joke maybe. 25 quid a joke sounds more realistic. Damon Beasley went on to write and produce The In-Betweeners with Ian Morris, who hasn't started working here yet. He also produced, but didn't write, The Persuasionist, the sitcom that I did. James Bobin, he wrote and produced My VTs. He went on to direct the latest Muppet movies, the Dora the Explorer movie. He's the Flight of the Conchords TV series. He's a big shot in America. Jamie Glassman. I remember Jamie. I don't really have a lot of things about him. John Gurney, I don't remember. Simon, I do remember. And Simon, I didn't really get on. I don't really remember Simon. I know some stuff, but stuff that I can't say. Peter Fincham, who co-owned Talkback Productions with Griff and Mel, went on to be the head of ITV. Steve Smith, very nice guy. He was the studio director, so didn't really have much to do with him. Andrew Newman, who we've talked about. Dan Mazer. So Dan Mazer was working on the Ali G stuff then, because I don't think he was involved in the studio. He must have been working on the Ali G stuff. Bruce Robinson, Harry Thompson, lovely Harry Thompson, wrote a brilliant book about Peter Cook. He came up with the idea for the show. They think it's all over. Just a brilliant, lovely man. He's the guy that liked me and gave me the job. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have a career now. He gave me the break that I so desperately needed, even though I was rubbish at the time. Talkback Productions, Channel 4, 5678, 1998. There you go. That's it. Let's pause that. We don't need to see that again. So that's it, guys. That's your lot. That was episode 2. Who was the warm-up act for the 11 o'clock show? Hey, Quiet Bloke, cheers for the cheer. Know it all. Thank you for the subscription. Thank you. I missed that. Who was the warm-up act for the 11 o'clock show? We had loads of warm-up acts. We had Jimmy Carr. Robin Ince did it a lot. Didn't get on with Robin at the time either. Someone else. I found everybody intimidating. Robin Ince, I really didn't like. I didn't start liking Robin until about 3 years ago. And now I think he's a really nice guy. Gemma, thank you for the subscription. Much appreciated. Jimmy Carr, Robin Ince, DJ Lazy, thank you for the subscription. Get your subscriptions in, guys. It's really appreciated. If you've got Amazon Prime, you can link it to Twitch and then you can subscribe for free. I get a few quid. It doesn't cost you any money. It's money that you wouldn't get. Actually, James, thank you. If you haven't got Twitch, you can subscribe with cash, or you can chuck some bits at me, or you can donate money, or you can just watch for free. But thank you. Who else did the warm-up? People we're going to see later on. We're going to see Mackenzie Crook. Thank you, Soap Dodger. Wow, the subscriptions are coming in. It's almost like you're enjoying this. Thank you. You're going to see Mackenzie Crook. You're going to see Alex Lowe. Jimmy Carr doesn't go on screen, I don't think. You're going to see Dom Jolly. Can't think who else you're going to see in terms of presenters. Oh, the woman, and I can't remember her name, and I do apologise, who played Alan Partridge's assistant. She came on and did something. Robert Pop-Up, you're going to see. Thank you very much indeed. I can't remember who else you would have seen as on screen. Drunken Christ. Thank you, Drunken Christ, for the bits. Much appreciated. Felicity Montague. Flora, thank you for the subscription. Very, very kind of you. I can't think who else. And this will be part of the joy. Is going through it, because I don't really remember it. I was stoned a lot as it went on. I was never coked up when I was doing the show, but cocaine became a more important part of my life because I had money, and it was kind of it kind of took over my. Anyway, the cocaine will become part of it. I think we're done. If you're listening to this as a podcast, it means I have uploaded this as a podcast. You would be very, very welcome to come and join us live. Sunday nights, 8 p.m. We're going to do an episode a week. And sometimes we might break it up a little bit. We might... Sunday night... we might watch things that connected with the 11 o'clock show, but that aren't necessarily 11 o'clock show.